Hey guys, this is Guile. So I've been gone for a while, but I decided to make a quick little video, get back into the habit of things. Sorry I've been gone, I had to move and kind of interfered with my filming. Anyways, I've been playing a lot of Eldar lately. Since 6th edition came out, loving the new list, but a friend of mine bought a new Necron army. Never fought it before, don't even know what he has in it. He's going to come over tomorrow and we're going to actually try shooting our first battle report. So I decided to do something a little bit different, an army he hasn't faced before. So I pulled out my 3rd edition Armored Company. Now this army hasn't been used. I think I used it twice in 5th edition, once or twice in 4th edition. So I'm really rusty with it, but it was a really fun army to play, so I decided to brush off some of the dust, which you'll notice is all over the models, and just give them some attention and see how they do against his Necrons. Now, I'm not expecting this list to be competitive. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm not expecting to win, but I'm just playing to have fun. So, without further ado, this is my 2,500 point Armored Company list. I'm going to start off with my Warlord, and I'm going to be using my Commissar. She's an older model, but I've had a lot of luck with her. She's going to be equipped with Carapace Armor, a Power Sword, no other upgrades, and I'm going to also give her a Chimera. Now her Chimera will just be equipped with Multi-Laser and Heavy Flamer, no other upgrades. And I actually don't plan on starting her in it. I just kind of brought it for one extra tank because this army is all about the armor. I'm going to start her probably in the squad of veterans with the multi-meltas, and that's the next unit I'm going to talk about. First of my obligatory troops choices, 10 veterans equipped with 3 melta-guns, no Vox, no heavy weapon, no other upgrades. I'm going to give them a Chimera. Now the Chimera is equipped with Stormbolter, multi-laser, heavy bolter. Now I kind of think I prefer to have some heavy stubbers, longer range, extra shot. But when these models were created, that wasn't an option. They all came with Stormbolter, so that's what I put on them. And so since that's what's on the model, that's what I'm going to use. My second troops choice is another squad of vets. This one I'm going to equip with 3 grenade launchers. Now the grenade launcher gives me a little choice. It will instant kill a warrior. It's okay against light armor. But also gives me the option to throw some blast templates if he really gets his guys grouped up together. I've had a lot of luck with just massed blast templates, so I decided I'd go for it. They're also equipped with another Chimera, also a multi-laser, Stormbolter, heavy bolter. Those are my only two troops choices. So that, I think, is the biggest weakness in this army, is grabbing objectives. Now, if we get Purge the Alien, nice kill point mission, I think they'll do okay, but I'm going to really have to guard these guys if it's more than 2 objectives on the table. So my next choice is going to be my fast attacks, and my first fast attacks is some of my favorite units in the game, my Hellhounds, with their long-range heavy flamers, or Streak 6 AP4, Torrent, fast attack vehicle. They really have a nice kill range. It kind of surprises my opponents sometimes. They see the flamers, they think, oh, just keep away from them. But then these suckers run up 12 and throw that Torrent at them. They're like, what the heck? No cover, AP4, so anything other than Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines are going to have issues. I can see Necron Warriors going down pretty quick to these guys. Now they're kind of squishy, and they like to give my opponent first blood, I would think. So I'm going to keep them in reserves. Use them kind of as a counterattack for once his flyers drop off his warriors in my deployment zone to give me heck. These guys will pop in and return the favor, shall we say. Also, they both have a spotlight, so if we go into night fight later in the game, they can run in, light the opponent up for my other guys to drop the big guns on them. The next fast choice is a squad of 3 Sentinels. Now these are just the Scout Sentinels with multi-lasers, no upgrades whatsoever. And what I normally did with these guys is I keep them in reserves and I bring them in through outflank. Allows me to hopefully get towards that juicy rear armor with those multi-lasers. Really good at popping armor 10 when you got 9 string 6 shots flying their way. But I've also had some luck hitting units in close combat with them. Things like Devastator squads that don't have a lot of attacks, only strength 4, so they need 6s to glance. Now, I did this before hull points, and back then they used to last a pretty good while, and they'd probably lose, but even if I could hold up a Devastator squad for 3 turns, it's 3 turns that a heavy amount of points my opponent spent are not doing anything other than beating up some Sentinels that are dirt cheap and disposable. I'm not sure how well they're going to do with the hull points, but I'll try them anyways, see how they do. My next fast is my Vendetta. Now, this is probably the only new Imperial Guard model I have gotten since 3rd edition, and even he was a present. I didn't buy him. And I decided to equip as a Vendetta. Now, I didn't want to get the Forge World Last Cannon kit. A little pricey for my taste. So what I did was I raided my bits box, got some extra Last Cannons out. Now, they're not twin-linked, but I think this is WYSIWYG enough where my opponent's going to be able to tell what's on them now. They do make it rather difficult for my side sponson heavy bolters to actually shoot anything, but I figure they're probably going to be leaning out and firing to the front anyways, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. As long as my opponent can tell what it is, that's what's important. So that's fast attacks. I didn't take any elites. And I'm going to go into heavies. Now, first heavy, 3 Lehman Russ, equipped with battle cannon, last cannon, heavy bolters, and dozer blade. And these guys are just going to stand back and do what they do best. Long range, strength 8 pipe plates. Going to try to just do as much damage to any grouped infantry he has. Possibly even pound the annihilation bars. Now, the strength 8's not the best for cracking armor 13. But when you got 3 of them plus the last cannon's hit, all I have to do is 1 penetrating hit and that field goes down. So that should be able to at least knock out a couple of them for me. Not to mention any massed infantry like wraiths or anything, those pipe plates are just going to have a heavy toll on them. Next heavy choice is what used to be my HQ. Now, back in 3rd edition when it first came out, in the rule book in the back there was a section which was an army list for each one of the armies. And in that, it had an option to use Lehman Russes as HQs and heavies and troops. So you can have an entire tank army. So I built this guy up to be my HQ tank, my leader. And I really enjoyed that old list. Now, it didn't last long. They got rid of it. It was actually quite too good to last, so I can't blame them. But I still always kind of like to pull this guy out. Now, if I have the points, I'll make him pass, even though it's really not a huge upgrade since I use a battle cannon. But it's just kind of careful. This game, I actually didn't want to spend those points there, so he's just a standard Lehman Russ with a few extra toys on him. He does have the Storm Bolter. He does have the Hunter Killer Missile. And I teamed him up with his bodyguard, Oddball, named after a character from that Kelly Heroes movie. I always liked that character, so I decided to give him a tank. Now, this tank always seems to get himself into trouble. He doesn't last long, trucks a lot of firepower, but I don't care. It's still fun. And this will be the first time I'm using the plasma cannons with the Gets Hot roll on vehicles. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But they're on here. I'm going to use them, and if he hull points himself to death, well, it's actually just kind of fitting for this model's history. They're probably going to be holding my center, providing a more aggressive standpoint compared to my other tanks that'll sit back. These guys will kind of move towards the middle, put some heat on them, or possibly draw them into a trap. Put a nice juicy target out there that looks pretty, looks different than all the other units, so my opponent thinks those must die, charges in and gets them, and in the process pulls right into a line of fire that I'm wanting. I've noticed if you have a model that just looks different than the rest, looks a little fancier, your opponent's going to really pay attention to that model. Whether it's good or not, half the time doesn't matter. If the model looks different, looks special, they're going to dedicate a little extra troops to try to kill it. So it's a nice little bait at times. Now my last heavy is just an ordnance battery. It's a little different setup. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, even I'll admit that, but I'm doing it because I want to use the models. Now, the first two, great units, basilisks, nice, really long range. I don't really care for their minimum range, but if you can direct fire, you can make up some of that. Generally, we'll stick them in the corner of a table and try to lure my opponent towards the other, whether it be by placing my objective on that side or putting some juicy targets for them to go after. Try to keep them as far away from the action as I can so they can really use those Earthshaker cannons. I also give each one of them a Stormbolter right here. So if I do get a weapons destroyed result, my chances of losing my Earthshaker goes from 55% to only 33%. And I consider that a pretty good trade-off for the small amount of points adding the Stormbolter. Now what really doesn't make sense is I added a Griffin to him. Now the differences in range is going to be a bit of a problem, but to be honest, I just wanted to use my Griffin. It doesn't cost very many points. I can use it as cover for the Basilisk. If it does, throw it up front so the first unit model in the unit takes the hits, gets blown up or wrecked. There's cover for my other two tanks. Plus, if my opponent does get into the minimum range, then he starts dropping his pie plates to buy them some time. And you never know, might actually do some good. So that's my army. 2,500 points. As I said, not what I would consider a competitive list. I wouldn't even dream of taking it to a 6th edition tournament, unless, of course, I didn't expect to win and just wanted to mess around with people. I'm going to see how it does tomorrow against my friends Necrons. And going to try to film it and put it out for you guys to watch if anybody's actually interested in watching. And you guys have a great day, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.